Godzilla's back and ready to reclaim his title as King of the Monsters. Warner Brothers' third entry into the MonsterVerse is throwing the iconic kaiju into a no-holds-barred battle royale against legendary enemies. Mankind first witnessed Godzilla's rise from the ocean depths in 1954 with the release of Ishiro Honda's Gojira. The first draft of Godzilla was inspired by the American sci-fi monster flick The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which also featured a giant dinosaur rising from the ocean to wreak havoc on the local city. And while both scripts look similar on paper, there was one vital element that set these two movies apart: nuclear energy. At its core, Godzilla is considered a metaphor for the atomic bombings that devastated Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Echoes of the destruction reverberated in the public consciousness well through the development of Godzilla and directly influenced production. Godzilla himself is a byproduct of mankind's tampering with atomic weaponry, an abominable source of power that perverts and decays its surroundings. So, what was the next step for this emotionally packed metaphor for nuclear tragedy? Free-for-all monster wrestling! Toho rushed production on a sequel, Godzilla Raids Again, but instead of terrorizing mankind, Godzilla faced off against a spiky dinosaur named Anguirus, and also terrorized humanity. The film set a new precedent. From then on, Godzilla would battle other monsters. If atomic energy brought about the birth of Godzilla, then capitalism was the catalyst for his next iterations, each one shying further away from Godzilla's atomic origins. The Showa era of films that stretched through the mid-70s featured a lighthearted Godzilla that painted the giant dinosaur as humanity's defender against other kaiju, like Mothra, Ghidorah, Mechagodzilla, and more. And somewhere along the way he had a son, but don't talk about that. Having strayed too far from Godzilla's light, Toho decided to bring the franchise back to its darker roots with a reboot. 1984's The Return of Godzilla. This direct sequel to the original film ignores everything that came since the original. After all, Godzilla is a force to be reckoned with. Not whatever this is. This period, known as the Heisei era, focused on the moral issues surrounding genetics and featured the return of classic enemies, as well as the rise of new ones, like Biollante, Rodan, Destroya, and more. In 1998, Hollywood decided to produce their own take on Godzilla. Thankfully, this version spanned one bad movie, a failed animated series, and whatever this was. To celebrate 50 years of Godzilla, Toho resurrected the entertainment wrestling with a series of films that culminated with the release of Godzilla Final Wars. Then in 2014, after the dust on the franchise had settled, Warner Brothers tapped director Gareth Edwards to kick off the MonsterVerse with a release simply titled Godzilla. This film introduced us to Monarch, an organization established to hunt and study mutos, or massive unidentified terrestrial organisms. Donning the hero mantle once again, Godzilla defends mankind against two mutos in a battle that culminates in San Francisco. In the ruins of the city, Godzilla is hailed as a savior, the king of the monsters. Fresh off the success of America's Godzilla, Toho announced a 2016 release for Shin Godzilla. Helmed by Neon Genesis Evangelion creator Hideaki Anno stated it was impossible to surpass the high bar set by the original Godzilla, so his aim was to reach the same bar. Instead of focusing on the nuclear tragedy of the 40s, Shin Godzilla used the recent 2011 Tohoku earthquake and Fukushima nuclear disaster as inspiration. The film was met with critical success and new life was breathed into the battle-worn franchise. The king of the monsters rose again and reclaimed his throne. But it would not go unchallenged for long. Back in the US, Warner Brothers successfully launched the second entry into the MonsterVerse, Kong Skull Island, which featured King Kong, Monarch, and a post-credit scene alluding to Godzilla's longtime rivals Rodan, Mothra, and Ghidorah.
Kong is not the only king.
Now, the stage is set. The battle for the crown is about to begin. No matter who wins, humanity will just have to sit it out and
let them fight.
And for more on Godzilla, be sure to check
When the moon meets the sky like a big pizza pie, that's Amori. Today we're talking about Amori, the game by Amocat. Hi, I'm Lily, and welcome to Lily Explains Things in 5 Minutes or Less, and today we're talking about the popular game Amori. Amori is a psychological horror game RPG maker. Yeah, and I said horror. This game is scary. I cried several times, in fact, and not just because of this. And you may be thinking, Lily, how can this be a horror game? It's so bright and colorful and beautiful and exciting. No, you're wrong. You're very wrong. This is terrible. Everything goes wrong. Everything is bad. Everything is going horribly wrong. Besides that, this game is really awesome, and it has a lot of amazing things from the characters, the story, the development, to the origin. Everything about this game is insane. One of the things that I struggled to wrap my head around was that Sunny is his real name, and Amori is what he is in the white space. A big brain moment. Ba-da-bum-bum. Anyway, so he goes to sleep, right? JK, he wakes up, he's dizzy, he goes back to sleep, but he wakes up again, and now he's hallucinating, and everything is terrible, and the elongated staircases, and there's red tinted windows, and everything is going horrible! And then he envisions a hands reaching up the walls, and a circle hands pointing at him, and shooting with large realistic hands behind and everything. Ah! Anyway, there's a very long battle with something in the dark, and then he learns his first skill, which is calm down, which is what we all need to learn sometimes, and there's a mysterious voice, surprise, surprise, and the house is back to normal. And we're good, and we're safe. And this person straight up shoves a steak in the microwave, because if that's gonna end up well, he eats the steak, and he goes ill! Of course you're gonna go ill, you ate microwave steak, what is wrong with you? Anyway, Mary answers the door on the other side, asking Sunny to open the door, as she forgot her keys. Opening the door leads to a jump scare of the distorted figure of Mary, and regardless if he opens the door or not, he returns to bed and falls asleep, as if nothing happened! Now, that's just a brief synopsis of what kind of happens at the beginning of the prologue that sets the mood for the game. When I say this game is dark, it is dark, dark. I mean, oh no, oh no. Oh, but that happens, oh great, wonderful, okay, wonderful. Anyway, the endings for this game vary, such as saving Basil, continuing against Amori, the secret ending, and not continuing against Amori. There's also the not saving Basil or the Amori route, which is not opening the door for Kel, leads to one of the 3 neutral routes, which is going back to sleep in Basil's house, which is, yeah, going back to sleep in his house, and it's also bad. Oh, you can also, oh, no, that one's bad too. Anyway, this game, although it was dark and very, very eye-opening, the art, the visuals, everything, the sound effects, the music, it's all beautiful. So if you've not played Amori, then you definitely have to go play it, or else you are missing out. Just make sure you don't play it.
Get to smash everything? Fun!
Evolution of Anguirus.
A 197-foot Anguirus makes his first appearance in the 1955 movie Godzilla Raids Again, where he was Godzilla's first ever opponent. The two ancient creatures fought in Osaka before falling into the sea and disappearing. After an investigation was conducted, Anguirus was discovered to be an ankylosaurus that existed during the Cretaceous period, 150 to 70 million years ago, roughly the same period as Godzilla. Anguirus, like Godzilla, survived into the modern era by remaining dormant until being awoken and irradiated by nuclear bomb tests in the 1950s. It is also indicated that Anguirus can move extremely quickly despite his body size because his brain extends into his chest and abdominal areas, allowing him to react faster. The two monsters resurfaced in Osaka, Japan, and fought again. Anguirus shortly emitted powerful ultrasonic roars, causing Osaka Castle to crumble. After a ferocious and devastating battle, Godzilla eventually won by biting Anguirus in the neck. In the 1968 movie Destroy All Monsters, Anguirus appears as Godzilla's ally and greatest friend, living in Monsterland alongside the other Earth monsters in 1999. After the Kulaks invaded the Earth and revealed that they were in control of the monsters, the humans intervened and freed the monsters from alien mind control. Anguirus is extremely durable, surviving being stomped on, kicked with massive robotic force, and dropped from great heights. At the end of the movie, Anguirus fights King Ghidorah and kills him together with the other monsters. In the 1969 movie All Monsters Attack, Anguirus only appears in the stock footage. In the 1972 movie Godzilla vs. Gigan, almost 20 years after the events of the movie Godzilla Raids Again, Godzilla and Anguirus were now living together on Monster Island. Whether this was the same Anguirus that fought Godzilla in 1955 or a different one entirely is not explained. Godzilla sent him to Japan to investigate a strange noise they were hearing. Anguirus swam to the coast of Japan, where he was attacked by the military. The military drove him away, but he returned to Monster Island to inform Godzilla. Godzilla accompanied him to Japan, where they confronted Gigan and King Ghidorah at the World Children's Land. Two of Anguirus' attacks involve leaping backwards to impale his opponents with his spiky carapace and vice-like bite. Despite being severely injured during the battle, Godzilla and Anguirus
Mr. Loverman, and I'm
And nothing